How is it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with my Pac-12 conference preview / prediction video for the upcoming 2013 college football season. And if the trend continues, these videos run pretty long. So if I were you, I would open up another tab and just listen while I'm browsing the internet, because you don't want to look at the screen the whole time, because there's no point in that. This is more kind of like a radio broadcast type thing that I try to do here. And just like the other conference videos, I'm going to list each division, how I believe the standings will end up, and then I'll talk a little bit about each team preview in the upcoming season. I'll give a record for the regular season for each team in each division. And also, when I come to my sleeper pick, I will let you know that. So let's get started, and we will start in the Pac-12 North. I will list the teams from 6 to 1. Coming in last place, I have Cal. 5th place, Washington State. 4th place, Washington. And the 2 and 3 teams in the Pac-12 North was so tough. It came down to head-to-head matchup, and I bet you a lot of people disagree with me on this pick. And this is probably my hardest pick thus far. I have Stanford 3, Oregon State 2, and Oregon number 1 winning the Pac-12 North. And in the Pac-12 South, I'll probably have another team winning the division, which is kind of a shocker to some. Coming in last place at sixth place, I have Colorado. 5th place, Utah. 4th place, UCLA. 3rd place, USC. 2nd place, Arizona. And winning the division is Arizona State. And that's probably a shocker to a ton of people. And I know a lot of UCLA fans are going to be hating on me for that. And that the top 4 in that division could end up any which way. UCLA, heck, they could be one of the best teams in the Pac-12 South. I mean, they are one of the best teams. I mean, the first 4 teams are so evenly matched that, like I said, it can end up any which way, the top 4, and there's a big gap in between the 5 and 6 teams in the Pac-12 South. That's kind of the case also in the Pac-12 North. First 4 teams, Oregon State, Stanford, Washington, are pretty evenly matched. Maybe Washington a little bit more than the other 3. Then after that, there's a big gap. So these divisions are really hard to predict, but I did my best. And I know I'll get a lot of people disagreeing with me, as I do always, but just because I don't have a favorite team winning the division doesn't mean you have to hate on me. Just listen to what I have to say about each team. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll start with Oregon. I have them going 11-1, 8-1 in conference play, because we all know that Pac-12 plays non-conference games, which is different from most other conferences where they play 8 conference games, which I think I'd personally rather conferences play 8 conference games. But you know, that's definitely not my choice. But for Oregon, I have them losing to 1 game on the year, and that's against Stanford at Stanford, and on Thursday night. And if you watch my other videos, you know for a fact that I say anything, absolutely anything, can happen on Thursday nights, and that's where I usually predict most of my upsets, is on Thursday nights. So I kind of am going out on a limb there, but I do believe Stanford will beat Oregon for the 2nd straight year, because all 3 teams are great in the Pac-12 North. But Oregon returning 8 starters on offense, 7 on defense. Biggest loss on defense is probably Deion Jordan, the front 7 absolute beast. And on offense, the biggest loss more than likely is Kenyon Bonner, who ran for over 1,800 yards last year. But they bring back a guy that will play just about everywhere on offense, who will probably primarily play running back, who it can be as good, if not better, and that's D'Anthony Thomas, who I have as a preseason Heisman candidate. He should run just as well as Kenyon Bonner does, or did. And also they have Marcus Mariota back. Starting quarterback, also a preseason Heisman favorite. He can run like a deer. He can throw up there with the best of them. He threw for over 2,600 yards last year, 32 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions. He brings back 3 of his top targets, which one of them are D'Anthony Thomas, Josh Huff, and Colt Leary, who is also a tight end, is one of the best young tight ends in the country. He's only a junior this year. And on the defense side of the football, they have a young guy whom I'd like to see to play this year, who's taken over for Deion Jordan. On the end there is Eric Armstead, coming out of high school. He's one of the best young DNs in the country, so it's going to be exciting to see how he plays starting a full year. And then they have, no doubt, the best corner duo in the Pac-12, which is Terrence Mitchell and Ifo Ekpre Alomu. Hopefully I did not destroy his name there, but two very talented corners. So that's something I believe Oregon's definitely going to upgrade this year. So the back seven, I think the front seven is going to take a little hit, primarily because of Deion Jordan's departure. Where they have talent there, would say potentially could be better. I just think if I had to predict a hit on Oregon's whole entire team, would be the front seven, and the back seven definitely should make up for that, or the secondary rather should make up for that loss in the front seven. But like I said, they could be definitely better. I just have to see how the two young linebackers, Joe Walker and Tyson Coleman, can play. And like I said, it's fun to see how Eric Armstead plays this year because he's actually taller than Deion Jordan is. If I'm not mistaken, he's like 6'8". I can't remember his height, but I know Deion Jordan was 6'7", 270, 260, 270, somewhere in that range. This guy is bigger than Deion Jordan, and it'll be fun to watch him play against Pac-12 offenses for the next couple of years. But Oregon, we all know they're national championship contender, one of the best teams in the country. But they always seem to slip up. They always do. Always seem to have that one game that they slip up on and keeps them out of the national championship. And I do think Chip Kelly's departure is going to be a bigger hit than most people think. And if he stays this year, I have them probably going undefeated. But let's not take anything away from new head coach Mark Helfrich. He's been the offensive coordinator under Chip Kelly the last couple of years. He'll have the same system in place. I think the drop off won't be as bad. It's hard to explain. I don't think the drop off is going to be as bad as some people think, but I still think if Chip Kelly was still here, that they could possibly go undefeated this year. I mean, they possibly could now. They have all the talent in the world. They could possibly go undefeated, beat Stanford that Thursday night, and pay him back to last year. But I think it's going to be tough, but we'll see. But he's a young. He'll be a good coach over the next couple of years. He'll mature as a head coach. He'll learn the to-dos and not to-dos, and he will be one of the young, fine coaches in all of football. But right now, I have Oregon going 11-1, 8-1 in Pac-12 play, with that one loss coming to Stanford. Coming in at second place, which I might get some hate for, but I definitely see them doing well this year, and that is Oregon State, who started the season last year, ended up getting ranked all the way up to 7, and they ended up getting beaten by Washington in a thriller, and ended up the season ranked 20th. After they got beat by Texas, very close in the bowl game. I believe that was the Alamo Bowl. But Oregon State have them going 10-2, 7-2 in conference play. Losses over against Arizona State and Oregon, which all come in the last 3 weeks of the season. So if they win the first 9 games of the season, like I think they will be ranked top 5 in the country more than likely. And one of those first 9 games, that gives them wins over Stanford and USC, which I believe they can do so. And as you probably can, I can't say that now. I can't spoil that now. I'll get to that later. But that's a tough 3-game stretch there at the end of the season. At Arizona State, home against Washington, and at Oregon. I mean, they possibly can lose all 3 of those games. But I think they have one that's against Washington. But Arizona State's going to be a very good team this year. And playing at Arizona State. And then at Oregon on a Friday night. But like I said, if the game's not played on a Saturday, anything can happen. So that potentially could be an upset there. And it's been a good while since Oregon State has actually beat Oregon. I thought Oregon State had a good chance last year, and then Oregon just came out and blown them out of the water. So I just don't see Oregon State getting it done against Oregon this year. But they have returned 8 starters on offense, 7 on defense. Biggest returner on offense is obviously their quarterback, Cody Vaz. I mean, last year, Sean Mannion was the starter for most of the year. Cody Vaz came in and played absolutely exceptional. And Sean Mannion's actually still there. They need him, but I don't think they will because Cody Vaz, I believe, is going to be a heck of a quarterback there. And Sean Mannion will have next year to come back. So if I'm Oregon State fans, don't be too worried about your quarterback situation because next year Sean Mannion is still a good young quarterback, and he'll be there for senior year. But Cody Vaz, the senior year, I think he's going to play absolutely exceptional like he did late in the season last year. He ended up, let me tell you stats real fast, ended up 1,480 yards, 11 touchdowns, so only 3 interceptions, and that gives them a 59% completion percentage. And also to bring back their exceptional freshman standout running back, Storm Woods, who will be a sophomore this year. He led the team last year with over 900 yards and 13 touchdowns. And also to bring back the second string running back, Teron Ward, who ran for over 400 yards, 6 touchdowns. and has some good guys in the offensive line. A pretty experienced group on the two guards are both seniors. Junior on the left side, Michael Phillip. Just an overall good offensive line coming back. So Oregon State's offense shouldn't really be a problem this year. The last couple of years, they've struggled a bit at times when needed, but that shouldn't be the case this year. They should be a much improved group from last year, and I think the defense also is going to be much improved, and they should be able to not give up the 48 points to the Oregons this year, and they should actually be a little bit more competitive against the better teams in the conference. They had much like last year, they had a tough 3-game schedule, 3-game stretch where they played Arizona State, Stanford. Well, had a little gimme there in the middle against Cal, and they played Oregon. So that is going to be tough for Oregon State, but I really do see them going 10-2 because I think they get a couple upsets, like I said, against Stanford. USC, I don't believe will be much of an upset as some people will see preseason, definitely. But Stanford, I think this is going to be one of the blemishes of the year. Oregon State gets them at home. Oregon State is tough at home in Corvallis, so I think that's just Oregon State, Stanford, pretty much on par, definitely. And Stanford is still a heck of a team, and I know, like I said, I made a ton of hate about putting Oregon with the Oregon State over Stanford. But on defense there, they got Scott Chitron in the middle, alongside with Rashad Reynolds, one of the best corners in the Pac-12. Looking through my notes here at some of the standouts on defense. Michael Doctor, also another good young linebacker for Oregon State. And that's pretty much my only standouts on their defense. They do, aside from them, have some really experienced, good players all over the defense. And also, don't forget their kicker. Trevor Romaine is one of the best young kickers in the Pac-12. So, Oregon State comes down late to needing a field goal to tie or win a game, you can count on him. But anyways, like I said, Oregon State had them going 10-2, 7-2 in Pac-12 play. Let's move on to number 3. Have the Stanford Cardinal also going 10-2, 7-2 in Pac-12 play. Losses over Oregon State, and have them losing at USC. So that might be a shocker there. It was hard, but for some reason, I have them losing one out of Oregon, USC, and Notre Dame. And I think they get by Oregon, but playing at USC, I believe USC will upset them there and get them back for last year. Let's start here with Stanford. They bring back 6 guys on offense, 8 on defense. They were 12-2 last year with the Rose Bowl victory over Wisconsin. They had to beat UCLA twice in a row. Well, that was really strange to me. I've never seen anything like that. 2 teams having to play each other twice in a row to compete for the division. The second time they always got beat by UCLA. But like I said, they bring back 6 on offense, 8 on defense. Defense was absolutely exceptional last year. They bring back linebacker Shane Scoe, which I think is one of the best young linebackers in all of football, if not the best. And on offense, Kevin Hogan, you can't say enough how great he played last year. Came in, he wasn't started right away, but when he played, he finally started over Josh Nunez and Brett Nottingham. Ended up 109 of 152, 1,096 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And he ran the ball quite well too. He ran for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing the two, but Kevin Hogan, I believe, is a great quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best, in the Pac-12. And potentially, I could see him being as good as Andrew Luck. I know that's a huge stretch, but he has all the tools, a strong arm, accurate, makes great decisions, and he can run the ball too. He can run the ball a little bit better than Andrew Luck could, but Andrew Luck didn't really get to show how great he could run the ball because they did not want to get him hurt. But I think Kevin Hogan has the tool set to become one of the better quarterbacks, in all of college football. And they did lose running back Stephon Taylor last year. They have a good guy coming back, Anthony Wilkerson, who's actually going to be a senior this year. Finally gets his chance to be the featured back in that offense. So I believe there won't be much of a drop off there. They have as a whole, they have a young running back group coming back. Anthony Wilkerson, Kelly Young, Resmond Wright, all great running backs. And don't remember, Barry Sanders Jr. is going to be there at Stanford this year, so he could be a guy you could see in the next couple of years being one of the best young running backs in all of college football. Uh, and they also have a really good receiver, Todd Montgomery, coming back. Don't forget about Montgomery, but I'm not real sure about Luke Kamatule. I hear all the talk about him being better than Zach Ertz, and I wouldn't be surprised because Stanford in the last couple of years has produced some NFL talent at the tight end position, and some are even saying that this I don't even it's hard. I'm destroying his name probably, but Luke Kamatule. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's better. He has a size at 6'7", 260. If he played last year, I didn't see him. Let me see. I don't think he played at all last year. I could be wrong there, but like I said, I would not be surprised one bit if he turns out to be better than the last couple of tight ends that Stanford has produced. But alongside Saints Cove on the defense side of the football, they have a great linebacker in Trent Murphy, great guy in the line, Ben Gardner, Jordan Richards, Ed Reynolds, two of the best safeties in the Pac-12. Henry Anderson also alongside that defensive line. Alex Carter back there in the secondary as well. AJ Tarpley, the linebacker. Just you can go on and on and on about this defense on Stanford. So if I can go out on a limb, say the best defense by far in the Pac-12 is Stanford, but I do see them slipping up twice along the season. But they are definitely going to be national championship contenders. It won't surprise me one bit if they do. But like I said, I have them slipping twice and going 10-2, 7-2 in the Pac-12 North. I mean, somebody's got to lose, and there's a bunch of good teams in the Pac-12. Let's move on to number 4 in the Pac-12. I have Washington going 6-6, 3-6 in Pac-12 play. Have them losing to Arizona, Stanford, Oregon, Arizona State, UCLA, and Oregon State. There's actually 4 losses in a row there for them. That's a really tough 4-game stretch in the middle of the end of September, early of October against Arizona, Stanford, Oregon, Oregon State. And it's not really 2 gimme games throughout the season either. Most teams play easy out of conference games the first couple of weeks of the season to get their team ready and on the field. But they start out with Boise State. But I think they now have a victory over Boise State this year. They're a very talented team coming back. Washington actually has 10 guys returning on offense and 8 on defense. So they're going to be a good group, a really experienced group, to say the least. One of the best, if not the best, tight end in all of football in Austin Seferian Jenkins. And they also bring back Keith Price, who's going to be a senior this year. He struggled last year. Last year I had him as a dark horse to win the Heisman, and he disappointed me last year. But the skill set's there. If he can stay consistent, he can be one of the best quarterbacks in football. He's that talented. But I'll go back to the first 2 weeks of the season. They played Boise State and Illinois. I mean, Illinois hasn't been that Juice Williams type team the last couple of years, but they're not a gimme game by any stretch of the mark. But they should get the win that week. And that Boise State game, it's going to be a tough game. I think they get the win, but they definitely do not need to sleep on Boise State, and I'm sure they won't. But like I said, 10 guys returning on offense, 8 on defense. They did lose. Let's see. I'm not even sure what I was going to say there. I apologize. But like I said, Keith Price, one of the best young quarterbacks in all of college football, when consistent. So sophomore year, I remember he was playing, who was it, Baylor? Washington and Baylor, what bowl was that? Was it the Alamo Bowl? I could be mistaken. That was an insane game to watch, not if you were a fan of defense, but if you were a fan of offense, because that game was absolutely insane. Both quarterbacks were the reason each team was playing that well, and I think Baylor ended up getting the victory in that game. But that was a game for the ages, a really fun game to watch. That was actually the year RG3 won the Heisman, which was 2 years ago. But like I said, one of the best young tight ends in the Pac-12 or in the country, probably the best tight end in the country in Austin Seferian Jenkins. Good running back, and Bishop Shankly coming back. Sankey, not Shankly, sorry. Looking over my notes here. On the defense side of the ball, Shaq Thompson, that's another good linebacker, one of the best linebackers in the Pac-12. Remember when he was getting recruited, I wanted Alabama to get him so bad, but he ended up going to Washington, which was a disappointment. But really, really good young linebacker. If I'm not mistaken, he'll be a sophomore this year. He burst on the scene last year and played exceptionally well in that defense. Josh Shirley on the defensive line, very good player. In the secondary, you got Marcus Peters, Sean Parker, two of the best young corners and safeties in the Pac-12. Just an experienced group overall, and it sucks because they play in a tough division in a tough conference. They pull UCLA, Oregon State, Oregon, Stanford, Arizona, Arizona State. When both those last two teams are going to be very, very good this year. They play in it, just like I said, they play in a tough conference. No gimmies. They have the talent. If they're playing in a conference like the Big Ten, they go all the way. But they're playing in the Pac-12, which is a very tough conference and one of the toughest divisions in all college football. So I have them going 6-6, 3-6 in the Pac-12. But don't be surprised if they upset maybe one or two of those games that I listed that they lose, which because it's very possible because they're just that talented. So let's move on to the Pirate team. Washington State under head coach Mike Leach have them going 4-8, 2-7 in conference play. Losses against Auburn week 1, at USC week 2, Stanford, Oregon State, Oregon, Arizona State, Arizona, and at Washington last week. But there you go again, another Friday night game. Anything can happen. They can fully upset there. And they actually did beat them last year. Nobody expected Washington to lose to Washington State last year because Washington State only had won 2 games at the time. So that was an absolute shocker. And if I'm not mistaken, that game went into overtime. But they should improve. I have them improving by 1 game. I know that's not much of an improvement, but they do have a tough out-of-conference game against Auburn at Auburn, so that really doesn't help anything. And another tough schedule playing in the Pac-12 North. But they bring back 7 guys on offense, 9 on defense. Last year, people thought Jeff Toole was going to be the guy to play quarterback there. Ended up not being the case. He didn't turn out to be as good as a lot of people thought. Especially with the fact that Marquise Wilson, I thought that duo right there, and Jeff Toole and Marcus Wilson, under Mike Leach's offense, was going to shock the country and at least make a bowl game, if not more than that. I thought they were going to be amazing, and they did not pan out at all. Marquise Wilson ended up getting kicked off the team. Jeff Toole ended up losing his starting job to quarterback. Well, now starting quarterback, junior Connor Holiday. So they were a disappointment last year. The offense under Mike Leach really struggled, but maybe if I wasn't so, I don't know what you call it, wasn't so stupid, I could have saw that coming because it with a team and a talent that Washington State had and that Mike Leach inherited, I thought the offense was bound to struggle definitely coming to the season. But I mean, even struggling, I didn't expect them to only beat a team like Eastern Washington by 4 points. That wasn't really expected by somebody like me. But they have some talent coming back. They do. I expect them to improve. Like I said, they bring out 7 guys on offense, 9 on defense. The defense was terrible last year, but they should be improved with that many guys coming back. Connor Holiday played very well, a lot better than Jeff Toole did whenever he ended up starting. He ended up 151 to 290, 15 touchdowns, 13 picks, sorry. So, and Jeff Toole ended up throwing 8 picks and only 8 touchdowns. So, I can't remember when Connor Holiday ended up taking over the starting job. But, bring back some good running backs and Terry Caldwell, Leon Brooks, Marcus Mason. Aside from Marquise Wilson, who ended up getting kicked off the team, who would be back this year. They bring back Gabe Marks, Dominic Williams, Isaiah Myers, Brett Bartolome, Bobby Ratliff, a bunch of good receivers who should overall make a very good wide receiver core for quarterback Connor Holiday to throw to. So the offense should be much improved this year because, I mean, right out the gate, I was excited to watch that BYU game to start the season. Thought that was going to be a tough game. I thought it was going to be an offensive game, but they scored a measly 6 points in that game, and the Blues in 30-6. And I mean, probably at the conclusion of that season, if you knew what was going to happen, would have been that surprise. BYU's defense was one of the best in the country last year, statistically at least. But like I said, you didn't expect them to only beat a team like Eastern Washington by 4 points. That wasn't expected because I just definitely thought their offense was going to strive this year, and it could this year. It could in the next couple of years turn out to be one of the best offenses in the Pac-12. We'll just have to see how Mike Leach can recruit there at Washington State. I mean, Texas Tech wasn't such a sexy team when Mike Leach arrived there, and he ended up turning them into a Big 12 contender under Graham Harrell, Michael Crabtree. We know that team in the good old days of college football. But let's see. Let me look at my notes real fast for Washington State. Some of the standout players. We have Gabe Marks, like I said, the wide receiver, one of the best in the Pac-12. John Fullington, a really good guard. Dominique Williams, another good wide receiver. So they really do have a good overall wide receiver core there for Connor Holiday to throw to. On the defensive side of the football, best defensive player probably Daryl Moore, the linebacker. One of the best probably in the Pac-12. And that's probably the really only standout player I see. But bringing 9 guys back, that can't hurt anything. Experience. So Washington got going 4-8, 2-7 in Pac-12 play. But like I said, don't be surprised if they pull out an upset win against maybe one or even two of these teams to make a bowl game. Let me see if I could. Maybe a team against Washington, like I said, they could win. Like I said, it's on a Friday night. Anything can happen. Maybe they could upset Oregon State, the USC, maybe even Auburn week 1. We'll just have to see. That will be a fun game to watch. I'll have to stay in tune to that one because we'll just have to see. Because Auburn, nobody knows how good they're going to be this year. They could be a lot better than last year, but we just don't know how good that could be. So we'll have to see. And moving on to number 6 in the Pac-12, I have the California Golden Bears going 2-10, 1-8 in Pac-12 play, and that's disappointing because they have a good young head coach coming over in Sonny Dykes from Louisiana Tech who ran an amazing offense, but he just inherits a pretty poor team, and I do not see them having success at all. Give him a few years. Sonny Dykes is a good coach, and the record's not going to speak how good of a coach he is because they're just not going to be good this year. You can't help that, what he inherited, but give him a couple of years and they'll turn out being better. Like I said, have them going 2-10, losses to Northwestern, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington State, UCLA, Oregon State, Washington, Arizona, USC, and Stanford. Only wins coming against Portland State and Colorado, and it really doesn't help them out. They have 2 really tough out-of-conference games against Northwestern and Ohio State. I don't think they come close winning either of those games. But they just don't bring much back. They have only 5 guys on offense coming back, 6 on defense. Lose their starting quarterback, Zach Maynard, and his not twin brothers, was it his stepbrother? I'm not sure. I know it was his brother, Keenan Allen, which was one of the best wide receivers in college football when healthy. They do have Zach Klein, the redshirt freshman, going to be the starting quarterback this year. And he was a big high school recruit coming out of college. So, I mean, that made no sense. He was a big quarterback recruit coming out of high school. So we'll have to see how he fares with that depleted talent on the offensive side of the football. Lose their top 2 running backs, Jay Anderson and I.C. Soleil. Like I said, they lost Zach Maynard and Alex Brifford. And their top receiver, Keenan Allen, they bring back their 2, 3, 4 best receivers from last year, and Chris Harper, Richard Rogers, and Bryce Treggs. And that's pretty much all they have coming back in offense. They also have a pretty young offensive line. So just not much for Cal to hope for this year. If I'm a Cal fan, I would be happy with four wins maybe if that could possibly happen. But I just don't see anything happen. I don't see them upsetting potentially any of the best teams in the Pac-12. There's no way. Best player on this whole team is probably Nick Forbes, their starting middle linebacker, who will probably leave after the season to the NFL draft. He's actually a really good linebacker for Cal. So 2-10, 1-8 in Pac-12 play. Sonny Dykes, give him a couple of years. Hopefully they won't throw him under the bus and fire him after 1 year if he's this bad as a lot of us predict. But we'll just have to see. Let's see. Anybody else I want to mention on the defense for Cal aside from Nick Forbes? DeAndre Coleman, good defensive lineman. Man, that's about it in that defense. So let's move on to the Pac-12 South. Hopefully that was a good preview for you of the Pac-12 North, which took a whole 30 minutes. Good God, I need to get faster at these things. Let's move to the first team. Number 1 team I have winning the Pac-12 South, which is the Arizona State Sun Devils, going 10-2, 7-2 in Pac-12 play. Have them with losses to Stanford in week 3 and at UCLA the second to last week in the regular season. Bring back 7 guys on offense, 8 on defense, and they were a very talented team last year. So they bring back a lot off of a good team last year. Beat rival Arizona in the last week of the season, so that was a big win for them in the last week. Bring back the starting quarterback Taylor Kelly, who was very good last year. He completed 67% of his passes, 29 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. So right over 3,000 yards, 3,039 yards. Brings back his best receiver, or a couple of his best receivers actually, and Chris Coyle, DJ Foster, Marion Grice, who's actually the starting running back, and he's coming back as well. So it's going to be a good, potent offense for Arizona State. We'll have to see how their offensive line can hold up. Lost a couple guys off the line last year. Be led by left tackle Evan Finkenberg, the senior. So we'll have to see how they hold up. I mean, man, if their defense can play a little bit better this year, they can, like I said, really, really contend, and wouldn't surprise me one bit if they win the Pac-12 like I have Pac-12 South, like I have them doing so. But they do have a couple tough games. Definitely a tough out-of-conference game in Week 3 against Wisconsin. That's a really tough 4-game schedule there. 4-game stretch there. Wisconsin, Stanford, USC, and Notre Dame. I have them beating Notre Dame, but I'm not too confident about that. But I do have them doing so. That's actually a neutral site game. That's going to be in Arlington, Texas. But I do see them. If I'm an Arizona State fan, I'm very, very happy if I win 3 out of those 4 games. I mean, potentially they could split that, but I think they beat 3 of those teams. USC, like I've said, I don't think it's going to be as near as good as people think they're going to be this season. And another game I could see them maybe losing is to Oregon State, but I also could see them potentially beating UCLA. But UCLA is a tough young team, and I have them going 7-5, which I'll get to in just a minute. But they're a tough team, and I feel bad for having them at 7-5, but they have a tough schedule. They really do. But let's see. Arizona State, like I said, going to be really good at the skill positions. Also, senior Alonzo Agwenu is coming back this year, and I think he's going to be a talented receiver as well. They're going to have, it's like overall, they're going to have a good wide receiver core for young quarterback Taylor Kelly to throw to. Todd Graham, second year here as head coach. I want to make a little note about him. That really did surprise me in his initial interview or press conference when he was announced as head coach of Arizona State. When he said Arizona State was his dream job, and he left Pitt so he go to his dream job. I'm not sure how many people's dream job is the head coach at Arizona State. Be a little bit more believable as a more of a high-profile team, but Arizona State dream job really. That really gave me a sour taste in my mouth. But Arizona State, like I said, is going to be a good team, 10-2, 7-2 in Pac-12 play. It won't surprise me one bit. Probably will surprise you, but it won't surprise me one bit if they actually do win the Pac-12 South. So let's look at their defense a little bit. Standouts on defense for Arizona State. Will Sutton, definitely. One of the best young defensive linemen in all of football. Just an absolute beast on the D-line. Carl Bradford, the linebacker, one of the best in the Pac-12. Sean Irabor, the cornerback, really good cornerback, alongside Alden Darby, one of the best young safeties in Pac-12. Jackson Hood, another D lineman, and Devon Coleman, alongside Jackson Hood, two of the best, really good linemen in the Pac-12. So Arizona State is going to have a very solid defensive line. 4 guys really alongside that D-line that can be very, very, very talented. Like I said, Will Sutton is one of the best defensive tackles, nose guards in all of football. And Jackson Hood, a very young guy, I think will burst on the team this year and play very, very, very well. And also a good secondary with Arizona State. So all around Arizona State, the biggest question mark, I believe, is the offensive line. If the offensive line can remain solid throughout the season, they should be very, very effective on offense and on defense this year. So let's move on to their rival, Arizona, who also have at 10-2, 7-2 in Pac-12 play, and that's probably a shock to many people having doing so well. But in fact, they have one of the easiest schedules out of all the Pac-12 teams because they only draw one of Oregon and Stanford out of the Pac-12 North. And they draw Oregon, and that's actually one of the losses that I have them lose. One of the teams I have them losing to this year. And actually, the 2 losses I have them losing to this year, or the 2 losses I have them having this year. Sorry, it's hard to talk for 30 straight minutes. Hope you understand that. But the 2 losses I have them this year are the last 2 weeks of the season. That's against Oregon and at their rival Arizona State. Hence why I had Arizona State above Arizona. But the first 10 games they should win, and it won't surprise me if they win handily each one of those games. They played Northern Arizona week 1, UNLV week 2, Texas San Antonio week 4, Washington week 5 before a bye week, sorry, and also before a bye week against USC. So they play Washington before a bye, or after a bye, then USC after a bye. So they have a bye week to prepare for both those teams, which I think they could win without a bye week. But the bye week only gives it that much more of a strengthening there. And like I said, they should win those 2 games. It gives them 6-0. Utah, that should be a win, 7-0. At Colorado, easy win, 8-0. Cal, another easy win at Cal, 9-0. UCLA, a tougher game, but with that confidence built up, I think they should handle UCLA at home. And then Washington State, they should handle UCLA. They should handle Washington State. Gosh, I am turning into an idiot. Please forgive me. I'm losing my mind. But at that point, before they play Oregon and Arizona State, they'll be 10-0. Should be one of the top teams in the country ranking-wise at that time if they're 10-0. So who knows what could happen? Maybe they could beat Oregon. Maybe they build up so much confidence they could beat a team like Oregon. Even though last year they were absolutely annihilated, just completely annihilated by Oregon, 49-0. And one of the reasons I'm so confident about all this is the easy schedule. Like I said, the 2 bye weeks before Washington and USC. The weakest link on their team last year was obviously their defense. Their defense was atrocious, absolutely atrocious. If their defense was average, they could have won 2 more games and gone 10-3, maybe even 11-2, whatever you want to say. But they have 11 guys returning off that defense last year, and I don't care how bad a defense was, bringing every single player back, every single starter back off a defense, that only means they can be better. I mean, they might not be that much better talent-wise, but just as a whole, as chemistry, whatever you want to call it, they're going to be a better defense overall, definitely, without a doubt in my mind. And they only bring back 6 guys on offense, which for some teams is quite a good bit. And they lose their starting quarterback, Matt Scott. They return Kadeem Carey, who led all of football in rushing last year. Under Rich Rodriguez, no matter what players you have on an offense, that offense is going to be good. And especially when you have the top returning rusher coming back in Kadeem Carey. And B.J. Dinker, who's a senior, he's been there for a while. He should have some leadership skills as a senior. So, I mean, Arizona's offense, I don't think will drop off much at all. So, with a better defense, with a better easy schedule, I believe, until the last 2 weeks of the season, favorable schedule, I think they could build enough confidence to be a 10-2 team and compete for the Pac-12 South. If they win those games, like I said, they could potentially beat Oregon and Arizona State and shock the whole entire world. And they're one of my biggest sleepers and surprises of the whole entire college football season, just because of what I explained to you guys. And if they win those last 2 games, man, they could be shooting for a national championship. It's just such a favorable schedule. And like I said, they play at USC on a Thursday night. Who knows what can happen on a Thursday night? And let me look in my notes real quick and see if I have any standout players on that defense coming back, because it wasn't a good defense last year, but 11 guys. I have 2 standouts in the defense, actually. I have Jake Fisher, the linebacker, and Shaquille Richardson, the cornerback. So that's 2 seniors right there. A senior-led defense, actually. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seniors returning on that defense, and actually the rest are juniors, aside one sophomore, which is the outside linebacker, CJ Dozer. So Arizona, I think, can be one of the biggest surprises of college football this year, having going 10-2, 7-2 in Pac-12 play. So let's move on to USC at number 3 in the Pac-12 South. Have them going 8-5, 5-4 in Pac-12 play. And I know I'll get a ton of hate from USC fans and just fans in general having them this low and have them losing 5 games, but really, you're going to say that after last year. Just don't even bother. Because, I mean, you can't say USC is going to be this good after what happened last year, because they don't look as good as they were last year. So why do you think they're going to be any better this year? But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Have them losing 5 games to Arizona State, Arizona, Notre Dame, Oregon State, and Stanford. So they have a bunch of tough games, which I don't see why anybody would argue with me that they would lose those games. They lost to Arizona last year with Matt Barkley as quarterback. Lost to Oregon, which they won't have to play unless they make the Pac-12 title game, which I don't think they do. Lost to Notre Dame. Lost to UCLA, which I actually have them winning this year, so cut me a break there. Lost to Stanford, even though it was close. So just don't see how anybody really could give me an argument that USC is going to be better this year. But don't get me wrong, they're going to be a good team. They're going to make it to a bowl game. Just don't see them competing for a Pac-12 South championship, or a Pac-12 championship, sorry, and maybe even a national championship. Some people have them in the national championship. That's no way, Jose. And even with the games that have them winning, they're all pretty questionable. I mean, Hawaii. When you're playing at Hawaii, that's always a red flag there, and that's on a Thursday night. I mean, Hawaii, they should beat Hawaii no problem, but don't be surprised if they struggle a little bit, especially being USC. Now, Washington State. We all know Washington State wasn't a good team last year, but like I explained earlier, they have potential, so watch out for them there. Then Boston College. If you watch my ACC video, I have Boston College as one of the. I didn't mention that I have Arizona as my sleeper to win the Pac-12. Sorry about that. But speaking of sleepers, I have Boston College as one of my sleepers to win the ACC potentially. So watch out for that game. Boston College, it would not surprise me if Boston College came close in this game or even won it. Because Boston College have so many return starters, and they have a new head coach, which I believe is a good head coach in Steve Adazio. Watch out for Boston College. And Utah State, they did lose their head coach, Gary Anderson, to Wisconsin. But they're still going to be a good team, good non-BCS team. Chucky Keaton's back, one of the best unknown quarterbacks in all of football. So watch out for Utah State. That's a tough game as well. Utah's Utah, so Utah's always tough to a point. So that's not a gimme by any means. They won by 10 last year against USC. Cal should be a gimme, and Colorado should be a gimme. So, to be honest with you, there's only 4 or 5 gimmies on the schedule. So, just be thankful that I have them going 8-5, not any worse than that. They do benefit because they play 13 games in the regular season. So, Okay, let's talk about the players a little bit. They bring back 8 on offense, 7 on defense. We all know they lose Matt Barkley and Robert Woods to the NFL. Bring back the best wide receiver, I believe, or one of the best, because some people might say Sammy Watkins. Don't want to stir any more hate against me. In college football, in Marquise Lee, he put up insane numbers last year. 1,700 yards receiving, 14 touchdowns. And that's not to mention Nelson Aguilar and Xavier Crimble, who are pretty good wide receivers themselves. And also the bring back Silas Red, who's one of the best running backs in the Pac-12, who actually transferred from Penn State after all that controversy and actually got to start right away last year. Ended up with 940 yards, rushing and 9 touchdowns. That's saying a lot because we all know how much USC throws the football. And Max Whittick, he's going to be a starter this year. Actually, I don't really know. USC hasn't said. But I think everybody expects Max Whittick to be the starter. You also have redshirt freshman Cody Kessler and true freshman Max Brown and Connor Sullivan competing for the starting job. But like I said, Max Whittick, I think, is the favorite. He ended up 36 of 69, which is a 52% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So it's really an unknown how USC will be at the quarterback position here and how they're going to throw the ball as a whole. I think they're going to try to get back to running the football. They have a good blocking tight end, Xavier Crimble. I mentioned earlier. He can actually catch the football as well, but he's also, I believe, a really good blocking tight end, which is not really used in football much anymore. But the offensive line is going to be back. I think this should be a good line. I think they're going to find more of their success running the football this year as opposed to years past, which has been for a while, since the Reggie Bush days. They're not going to really find success throwing the football as much as they did. So, if they can transition and run the ball well, they should win the 8 games. I have them winning. They're getting more depth on defense, so their defense, which was terrible last year, should be much improved this year. Touches a bunch of standouts in their defense, to be honest with you. If you give me a second to look at my notes, I can point them out to you. Let's see here. Starting off on the D-line, you got Morgan Breslin, a great young defensive lineman. Hayes Pulley, the linebacker. Leonard Williams, the defensive end. Deion Bailey, the safety, one of the best safeties in Pac-12. George Uko, Lamar Dawson, Torrin Harris, all good young defensive players for USC. Also have a healthy number of seniors. Morgan Breslin, Devon Kennard, also a good young linebacker. I don't know why I'm saying young. He's a senior. I've been saying young this whole time. I mean, they're all young. They're all college players. Torrin Harris. So 3 senior leaders on the team, a bunch of juniors as well. So they got talent all over that defense, but they're USC. I don't think Lane Kiffin is a head coach or good as a head coach as a bunch of people think. I think as long as Lane Kiffin is your head coach, you're going to lose 2-3 games a season, no matter how much talent you have. He just has not and never will prove to be a great head coach to me, probably. So USC 8-5, 5-4 in the Pac-12 South. Let's move on to number 4 in the Pac-12 South, which is UCLA Bruins. And if I had another sleeper to pick, it'd definitely be UCLA because they have a ton of talent, and they got the luck of the draw of losing 5 games because they're, like I said, a heck of a team, bring back a lot of talent, specifically more on the offensive side of the ball compared to the defensive side of the ball. But I think the lack of experience overall, bring back 12 players, is probably, which is not a lot at all compared to other teams that I've noted thus far. That's probably more the reason I have them going to 7-5. But like I said, they could be the dark horse, the sleeper to win the Pac-12 South, and it would not surprise me at all. Like I said, the top 4 teams in either division, either of those teams, I believe, could win each division. They have potential to, and then the bottom 2 would definitely surprise the country if they won their respective divisions. But like I said, 7 guys on offense coming back, 5 on defense. Is Jim Moore's second year here at UCLA. Took a tremendous jump from his first to second year. Went 9-5 last year. He sort of struggled his first year, but they played very well last year, and the losses on defense will hurt them a bit, but I still see them having a successful season because they have a ton of talent. But let's tell you their losses. Like I said, 7-5, 5-4 in Pac-12 play. Losses to Nebraska, Stanford, Oregon, Arizona, and USC. I actually have them upsetting Arizona State, which could potentially be a loss. And like I said, Washington could possibly be a loss. But you see Friday night. Who knows what can happen on Friday night. And Nevada. Nevada will be a tough game. Nevada has a good young quarterback in Cody Fajardo, but they lose their head coach who's been there forever, who implemented the pistol. So I'll have to see. But don't sleep on Nevada there. Nebraska is a tough game. They actually, you see that UCLA pulled out the victory last year by 6 at home, and now they're going in Lincoln and playing. So I think they get the loss this year. Stanford. I think everybody will agree with me that they should lose to Stanford and Oregon. They did play Oregon though, tough in the Pac-12 championship game. Utah at Utah on a Thursday night, that could potentially be an upset as well. But I'm giving them benefit of the doubt winning that game. And I think we all agree they should beat Colorado and Arizona. Have them losing to playing at Arizona. So here and there, it's a tough schedule for UCLA. I think they're going to win a couple that people don't think they're going to win, and lose a couple that people don't think they're going to lose. I mean, that's just opinions right there. But they're a talented team, one of the best young quarterbacks in college football coming back, Brett Hundley. I did lose Jonathan Franklin, though, who was one of the top rushers in all of college football last year. Ended up rushing for 1,800 yards, 13 touchdowns. But Damian Thigpen, Jordan James, two good running backs coming back, all alongside with Stephen Manfro. And Brett Hundley can run the football as well. He ran for 300 yards and 9 touchdowns, I believe, last year. So he can run the football too. As well, he can definitely throw the football. He threw for 7,000. Wow. 3,740 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 11 picks last year. That was 66 completion percentage. 66% completion percentage. And he brings back his top wide receiver in Shaquille Evans, who loses Joseph Faria, Jerry Johnson, Jonathan Franklin, who caught a lot out of the backfield last year. And then they bring back Stephen Manfro, Damian Thigpen, Jordan James, Jordan Payton, Devian Lucien, Desmond Fuller, Darius Bell, and Kenneth Walker, who all caught passes last year. And the offensive line is it's very young. And with the fact they lose Jonathan Franklin and a lot of their offensive line, that might be a problem, and they might see a little drop off, if not a big drop off, in the running game. I don't think the passing game, if they can pass protect to a point, because Brownlee can scramble like nobody else in the Pac-12, maybe outside of Marcus Mariota, he's probably he's probably the second best scrambler in the Pac-12. Maybe a tie there with Keith Price. But like I said, the offensive line is going to be a drop off, so the running game might be a problem. Brett Hundley should not see a drop off because he has a good receiving corps coming back. Shaquille Evans, one of the best wide receivers in the Pac-12, and he can scramble too. So the pass protection shouldn't be that much of an issue. And defense, a lot of inexperience, but they do have talent. Maybe even the best linebacker in all of football, Anthony Barr, who's actually decided to come back for a senior year. That really did surprise me that he decided to come back for this year. But with that said, let me say they have three seniors coming back on defense this year, and let me tell you my standouts in my notes real quick on UCLA's defense. Like I said, Anthony Barr definitely, Eric Kendricks alongside Anthony Barr at the linebacker position, Cassius Marsh up front in the D-line. That's pretty much it on the defense side of the football. Standouts on the offensive side of the football. One really good. They're one junior on the offensive line, or one of the two juniors, sorry, on the offensive line. Xavier Suafilo, very very good guard. He projects to be one of the top picks in the draft if he comes out this year. Maybe top 15 pick. Shaquille Evans, like I said, maybe the best, if probably the second best receiver in the Pac-12 behind Marquise Lee. Devin Fuller, another good young wide receiver. Jake Brendel, their center, sophomore, young center, but he should be okay. And Torian White, the offensive tackle, um, quite talented as well. So young O line, but a little talent. But I think the inexperience is going to hurt him a little bit. But we'll just have to see. So UCLA got them going 7-5, 5-4 in Pac-12 play. So let me try to hit this under an hour. I really don't want this to go more than an hour. So let's move on to number 5 in the Pac-12 South. I have Utah going 3-9, 1-8 in conference play. Losses to Oregon State, BYU, UCLA, Stanford, Arizona, USC, Arizona State, Oregon, and Washington State, and have them round out the year with a W over Colorado. And I'm not quite confident really in their first win of the season, which I have them beating Utah State at home on a Thursday night. It's more specifically the home team on a Thursday night that has trouble. It never surprises me when stuff happens on a Thursday night. Thursday nights are trouble. That's why I'm glad my team, the Alabama Crimson Tide, never play on Thursday. But even more the reason so that Utah's not as good as they were last year, and the fact that playing on Thursday, they lost to Utah State. If you don't remember last year, they lost in overtime, 20-27. So you might want to watch out because that could be a loss right there, and that could be a little bit worse than 3-9. But games I could see them potentially winning. They should beat UCLA, but if you're UCLA, do not overlook them. Maybe Washington State, but really, man, that's about it. Utah is not the Utah of past. Since they've entered the Pac-12, they've kind of been on a decline there. They went 5-7 last year. They failed to make a bowl game. So I just don't see them doing much better this year. I don't have them doing better. I have them going 3-9. They bring back only 12 returning starters, 6 on both sides of the football. They bring back the starting quarterback and Travis Williams, but Travis Wilson, sorry, and he didn't play that well last year. He completed 63% of his passes, over 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. So, you don't know. I don't know about Travis Wilson if he's going to be a guy that can lead Utah to a bowl game when they're not predicted to go to a bowl game. They lose their starting running back, John White. He ran for over 10,000 yards. I'm losing my mind. Over 1,000 yards, 1,085 yards, ran for 8 touchdowns. They do bring backup Kevin York and third stringer Trez Wilson. So I'll see how Kelvin York can play as the featured back. He's a senior, so he's been waiting his turn for a long time. They lose. They actually bring back their top 3 receivers off the team last year. Drez Anderson, the junior, Kenneth Scott, the junior, and Anthony Denham, and the tight end Jake Murphy, who caught over 300 yards last year and 4 touchdowns. So a decent wide receiver core for Travis Wilson. So I expect them to have success to a point on the offensive side of the football. But they only bring back 2 guys off the line last year, so it's going to be quite a struggle for Utah. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball that well. Brian Wilson isn't here anymore. Only referencing that because they absolutely killed Alabama that year. So I don't even want to go into more detail on that. Defense does have some seniors alongside the on the defense. Trevor, really the defensive end. You got VJ Fico Jr. is supposed to be a decent, undersized but decent linebacker. Brian Belchin, the senior. Bletchen, sorry, not Belchin. And Keith McGill, the senior corner. So, but like I said, each side quite inexperienced, especially in the trenches. So it's just going to be a tough year for Utah. Kyle Whittingham, this might be his worst year, and maybe even his worst talented team as head coach. Even when he was in the Mountain West Conference or whatever. I think they were in the Mountain West. I couldn't remember if they were in the Mountain West or WAC. And I apologize. I just hit an hour. I don't know why these videos are taking me so long to do. But let me look at my notes and tell you the standout players I have for Utah. Let's start on defense. Like I already mentioned, Trevor Riley, the defensive lineman. Eric Rowe, the safety. He's supposed to be one of the best safeties the uh, in the Pac-12. And let me give some punters some love. Their punter Torrey Hackett is supposed to be a really good punter, maybe top 4 in the Pac-12. So heck, they'll have a good punting game, and say the least there. And on offense, really don't see them have any standout players on offense. Probably the best player is their quarterback Travis Wilson, or maybe their tight end Jake Murphy. But aside from that, there's nothing really on their offense that wows me. So Utah got them going 3-9, 1-8, tough year in the Pac-12 South. And let's go over my last team, the Colorado Buffaloes, who it seems like it's been absolutely forever since they've been a good team, good competitive team. I think ever since they were struggling in the Big 12 whenever they left the Pac-12. It's been, if you're a Colorado fan, you're ready for success. You really are, because it's been a good while. I don't think Colorado's been significant whatsoever since they actually played Alabama in the Independence Bowl in 2007. But the one the one reason I'm a Colorado fan, I'm at least a little bit excited, is the fact they're bringing over head coach Mike McIntyre, the coach that coached San Jose State the last couple of years, and he did an exceptional job with the talent that San Jose State had. He actually developed the quarterback they have there now. Was his David Scales? I'm drawing a blank here, but he's supposed to be one of the biggest surprises this year, and played very well last year. He's supposed to burst on the scene this year, and everybody's expecting him to do so. He developed him into a good quarterback, so see how he can do with a guy like Connor Wood, the junior coming back, who actually started behind Jordan Webb, the Kansas transfer, and Nick Hersman. Connor Wood ended up 4 picks, 1 touchdown. Colorado's, like I said, it's not been a good team. Actually went 1-11 last year. And just on the sole fact that they have Mike McIntyre coming as head coach, had them improving from last year, going 2-10, 0-9 in Pac-12 play. I don't really know if you consider that improving. But that's that's disregarding the fact they do have a pretty good amount of talent coming back, 7 offensive starters and 9 on defense. And their defense has been the real reason why they've been so terrible. They have had a bad defense in the last couple of years, and having 9 defensive players coming back is only it can be a positive. I think I put a lot more value on experience than a lot of people do. It's very rare and very few teams that can have inexperience come back and solely off recruiting and talent win games. So if I see a team have a lot of guys coming back, instantly is a positive for me, and it really can be the difference in predicting sleeper teams and whatnot. So I'm just throwing that out there just to do so. They do bring back a couple of good running backs. They have Christian Powell, who was a freshman last year, played quite well, ran for over 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. Toby Jones, Dante Abron, and Josh Ford. So 4 pretty good running backs who might split time there at Colorado. And bring back their top 2 receivers in Nelson Spence and Tyler McCullough, Gerald Thomas, Vincent Hobbs, Tony Jones. So a decent wide receiver core there for Colorado. Be a question to see how the offensive line can be, but they have some experience coming back on defense. Front 7 though, quite inexperienced, or not inexperienced, but young. They have 3 sophomores starting on the defensive line. So just don't see Colorado doing so well this year. But it only can get better from here, and I think it will for Mike McIntyre. So if you're a Colorado fan watching this, I think you probably expect the same thing. So just keep your head up. Better days are coming. Might not be this year, but think better days are soon ahead. Definitely, if he can recruit, like some people think he can do so. But let me tell you their schedule real quick. Have them losing to Fresno State, Oregon, Arizona State, Arizona, UCLA, Washington, Cal, USC, and Utah. So they actually have a tough draw out of the Pac-12 schedule, getting Oregon and Oregon State out of the North, and have their 2 wins coming against Colorado State and Central Arkansas. And don't be surprised if they actually could lose that game to Colorado State. They did last year, 17-22. Colorado State should be a little bit better this year. And Colorado, that's a rivalry that not many people know about, but those Colorado people do take very, very seriously. I see a lot of smack talk on online message boards between those 2 teams, so that's a very serious game to both those two teams. So that's gonna be a tough game, but I have them edging out Colorado State, the Fighting McElwains, but you never know, they could very easily lose that game. So I'm pretty much gonna end it there. I forget to tell you my standouts for Colorado. I keep moving off my note page, and I gotta keep going back to it. So let me find Colorado real fast. Their punter, Derek O'Neal. That's a bright spot for him. That he's the best punter in the Pac-12. So punting game for Colorado might win the game for him here and there. But aside from that, man, let's see, maybe Chidera Zudoribe, their defensive lineman. He's actually quite talented. But on offense, Paul Richardson, maybe wide receiver. He's pretty good, and that's about it. So 2 players really on both sides of the football that I'd say really stand out to me. But that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I know a lot of people probably disagree. A lot of people usually do, so that's not really unexpected from me. But have a great day, guys. Leave a comment in the comment section below with your predictions and what you agreed with, disagreed with, and hope you enjoyed. I have 2 more coming, or 3 more coming. I have the American Athletic Conference, which will come out tomorrow, and then I'll make a video for the Independents, which hopefully will not be long, since it's only 4, 5, 6 teams, and then make 1 video with all the non-BCS conference teams, just giving their records that I have them ending up the season with. And I'm actually gonna, if you're watching this and you're subscribed to my channel, I'm gonna start my NFL predictions tomorrow, and I'm gonna try to get all of them uploaded by when I get NCAA Football 14, which is Friday. That's my goal, is to have all these prediction videos uploaded before NCAA Football 14 comes out. And NCAA videos, the NFL prediction videos are going to be a lot more simple than this. Very short, maybe 3-4 minutes. Just giving you the standings and just maybe a word or 2. So those should be no problem to make and to upload. So you probably can see I'd say 2 of those a day from now on until Friday. So be looking out for that. But that's it for me, guys. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And have a great day, and hope you're looking forward to this college football season. I'll be covering college football all season long. So